She looked straight at the judge, calm, composed, almost confident. Not the face of someone expecting prison. More like someone already planning dinner with friends. 17-year-old Mackenzie Shirilla believed she had outsmarted the system. Her lawyers said it was a tragic accident. Brain trauma. Memory loss. No intent. No recollection. And for a moment, it worked. Then the prosecutor pressed play. What followed was the exact moment Mackenzie realized her story was over. Because lies don't survive video evidence. And 2 young men were already dead. Paragraph 1. The night everything changed. On July 31, 2022, a quiet residential street in Strongsville, Ohio became the scene of something far darker than a car accident. Surveillance footage would later show a Toyota Camry accelerating, not braking, straight into a brick wall at nearly 100 miles per hour. Inside that car were 3 teenagers. Only one survived. Dominic Russo and Davion Flanagan were pronounced dead at the scene. The driver, Mackenzie Shirilla, was rushed to the hospital. At first, responders believed what everyone else would assume, a tragic crash, a horrible mistake, another heartbreaking headline involving young lives lost too soon. But investigators quickly noticed something that didn't sit right. There were no skid marks. No attempt to slow down. No steering correction. Instead, the car had accelerated, hard. As police began digging deeper, they uncovered evidence that transformed this case from an accident into something far more disturbing. Phone data revealed Mackenzie had driven that same route multiple times in the weeks leading up to the crash. Practice runs. Familiarization. Timing. Then came the black box data. It showed deliberate acceleration in the final seconds before impact. This wasn't panic. This wasn't confusion. This was a choice. And yet, when Mackenzie woke up in the hospital, the story she would later tell hadn't been written yet. Because in those first few hours, when she thought no one was listening, she told the truth. While Mackenzie was being treated at Metro Health Medical Center, she spoke with doctors and nurses who had no reason to think they were witnessing the collapse of a future murder defense. They weren't police. They weren't interrogators. They were medical professionals focused on saving her life. And according to medical records later read aloud in court, Mackenzie said something that would haunt her case forever. She told hospital staff that she wanted to die. She said it was her fault for killing her boyfriend. Those weren't words taken out of context. They were documented. Repeated. Verified. Dr. Esther Singh, the trauma surgeon who treated Mackenzie, testified under oath about those statements. When asked to read directly from the medical notes, the courtroom heard Mackenzie's own words from just hours after the crash. No lawyers. No strategy. No memory loss. Just guilt. The defense attempted to minimize the impact of the confession, suggesting it was emotional distress rather than an admission of responsibility. But Dr. Singh was clear. The words were there. Written as spoken. Mackenzie said it was her fault. That single moment shattered the defense's claim that she remembered nothing. Because you can't forget what you haven't yet decided to erase. And as the trial unfolded, prosecutors showed the jury that this wasn't an isolated contradiction, it was part of a pattern. A pattern written by Mackenzie herself. As investigators combed through Mackenzie's digital footprint, they discovered a version of her that looked nothing like the innocent, grieving teenager portrayed in court. TikTok videos. Captions. Messages. All posted around the same time her relationship with Dominic was unraveling. One post read, "I'm the one you die for." Another said, "I'm not even cool. I'm just one of those girls who can do a lot of drugs and not die." These weren't old posts from years before. They were recent. Relevant. timed perfectly with escalating threats and emotional volatility. Prosecutors argued these weren't jokes or dark humor. They were windows into her mindset, obsession, control, and a disturbing comfort with death. In one recorded argument, Mackenzie is heard threatening Dominic directly. Her tone isn't emotional. It's deliberate. Investigators also revealed that shortly after the crash, while families were still planning funerals, emails were sent from Mackenzie's account to a Los Angeles modeling agency. The contrast was chilling. 2 lives lost. And she was planning her future. At this point in the trial, the jury wasn't just evaluating evidence, they were confronting a question every modern viewer should ask themselves. How much do we reveal online without realizing it? If this case is making you question how digital footprints can expose the truth long after words are deleted, take a moment to engage with this video, because stories like this matter and awareness can change lives. The evidence kept stacking up. And Mackenzie's carefully constructed image was collapsing. When police finally arrested Mackenzie Shirilla, she didn't resist. Bodycam footage shows her calm, cooperative, almost detached. Officers carefully removed her jewelry, asked her to take out her hair extensions, reassured her they weren't trying to hurt her. There were no tears. No visible shock. Just quiet compliance. At sentencing, Mackenzie asked the judge if she could stand while delivering her statement. Body language experts later said it was a subtle attempt to reclaim control, to have a moment. Her words were carefully chosen. She apologized, but never accepted intent. She claimed love, but denied memory. She thanked her family extensively. She said, "I wish I could remember what happened. I would never do this on purpose." But as the judge described the evidence, practice runs, threats, acceleration data, Mackenzie shook her head. No. 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 Experts called it defiance. And then her mother took the stand. Despite overwhelming evidence, Mackenzie's mother referred to the crash as a tragic accident. She spoke about her daughter's suffering, her trauma, her pain. Legal analysts later noted something crucial: this wasn't just denial, it was conditioning. A lifetime of avoiding accountability reinforced even in the face of undeniable proof. The court wasn't convinced. The verdict and the truth she couldn't escape. When the verdict was read, the courtroom fell silent. Guilty of murder for the death of Davion Flanagan. Guilty of murder for the death of Dominic Russo. 2 counts. 2 lives. 1 driver. Mackenzie Shirilla was sentenced to 15 years to life. What ultimately convicted her wasn't just technology or surveillance. It was her own words, spoken at different moments, under different assumptions. When she thought no one was listening, she admitted fault. When she was online, she revealed her mindset. When she was on trial, she changed the story. But truth doesn't need consistency. Lies do. This case is a reminder that modern crimes leave modern trails, and no amount of performance can erase what's already been recorded. 2 families will never be whole again. And 1 teenager learned too late that control is an illusion. If this story made you think, feel, or question the narratives we're often shown, share it. The truth deserves to be seen.